Honourable Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for tourism, information and broadcasting.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, honourable members, special invited guests. Madam Speaker, I rise today to make a statement on the state of the tourism industry. Madam Speaker, we will all agree today that the tourism industry is the main economic driver of our country. In fact, Madam Speaker, it is the main earner of foreign exchange in our country. Madam Speaker, but when we took office 4 months ago, we found the industry in a state of much concern. Madam Speaker, just allow me to share with you some numbers which we have gotten from the St. Lucia Tourist Board. Madam Speaker, you would recall very well that as a build-up to the last general elections, there was much fuss about numbers. We were saying that while the Caribbean was doing exceptionally well and growing at 7%, that it was unacceptable for St. Lucia to be struggling at 2% growth. And that point was made, Madam Speaker, and it became a national debate. Madam Speaker, we still hold true to that philosophy, that if our neighbors who are in the same geographical location of similar size are growing at alarming rates, then we should be aiming to be at the very top. Madam Speaker, following the soft growth of 2015, which averaged 2% in the case of St. Lucia, visitor arrivals from January to September continues to be very disappointing. In fact, the statistics show that it's at 0.6%, a very modest increase, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, declines from the UK market of 4.9% and Canada 6.6% are of particular concern to us, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it gets even more frightening when we consider the numbers from cruise arrivals. Cruise passenger arrivals year to date to St. Lucia, Madam Speaker, records a 19.6 decline. Madam Speaker, not for interesting reading at all. And Madam Speaker, one of the reasons we believe that this is so is because when we came in, there was much ambiguity in which agency should take the lead as it relates to promoting St. Lucia as a vibrant and competitive cruise tourism destination. There seemed to have been a focus, Madam Speaker, on the land-based tourism sector, and there wasn't any clear mandate to promote the island as that destination of choice that it should be when it comes to cruise passengers. Madam Speaker, the yachting figures show a 2.2% increase, but still wasn't able to help the overall arrival numbers, which stand at a disappointing 0.6%. Madam Speaker, we also found our main entity to market our destination, the St. Lucia Tourist Board, in a very bad financial state. In fact, Madam Speaker, the financial statements are showing that the board started the financial year 2016 to 2017 with payables from 2015 to 2016, the previous year, of over $6 million, Madam Speaker. And so while the board had to contend with dwindling budgets because of policy decisions made by the previous dispensation, Madam Speaker, we saw that they were starting flat-footed with a debt of $6 million, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with a budget of $34 million for the financial year 2016 to 2017, the board had already spent $26 million by the end of September. And so, Madam Speaker, the remaining $8 million, $4.8 million was allocated for administrative expenses, $3 million committed to contracts to UK Airlines, tour operators, marketing and creative and PR agencies. No allocation was made in the budget, Madam Speaker, to cover the payables, which continue to be of much concern to the functionality of the board. Madam Speaker, 11 million was allocated to the St. Lucia Jazz Festival, and the actual expenditure was in excess of 14 million, Madam Speaker. This, Madam Speaker, represents gross mismanagement and did impede the board, Madam Speaker, from carrying out its main function of marketing St. Lucia effectively as it should have. Madam Speaker, no wonder the numbers are in such a frightening state. Madam Speaker, the penetration of the Jazz Festival, when we engage with people in the marketplace and talk to marketing experts and tour operators and other trade professionals in our main markets, Canada, the UK, and also the United States, there wasn't the feeling, Madam Speaker, that the Jazz Festival as a marketing tool, which today is our main marketing event to market the destination, there wasn't the sense that there was penetration from that festival. And so therefore, we need to ask ourselves a critical question, Madam Speaker, as to whether 14 million out of a budget of 34 million is worth spending on one of our events. Madam Speaker, the time really has come for change, because while we have this discussion, we also have very concerning situation which emanates from Brazil. And that is, Madam Speaker, was that the retainer of approximately $25,000 a month for almost 2 years was being paid to a PR firm out of Brazil. And this was while there was no accompanying airlift. So here we were paying someone, Madam Speaker, to promote St. Lucia as a tourist destination in Brazil. And the people had to fly up to Miami and then come back to St. Lucia. Not a chance. That's not going to happen. And so, Madam Speaker, in fact, the brochure for the Brazilian market, we know the official language in Brazil is Portuguese, was actually printed in the wrong language for that market. This is how poor we have found the state. And things were in such a chaotic position. Madam Speaker, to add to this chaos, we were paying a PR company in Canada a fixed retainer of almost $34,000 monthly, and in addition paid for every activity it undertook at a cost which ranged from $13,000 to $34,000 monthly. It then begs the question, Madam Speaker, what were we paying $34,000 for? And why then, if we were paying this hefty sum, why did it become necessary for us to pay additional costs per activity it undertook, ranging from $13,000 to $34,000 a month? Madam Speaker, in addition to this, a creative agency was being paid almost $45,000 a month to produce advertising material on as needed basis. Madam Speaker, budgets were not prepared in advance or adhered to, especially in relation to events. And so, Madam Speaker, this perilous situation requires us to change. And whilst the road to change is long, we tried our very best to implement some immediate things to rescue what is our main industry. And so what we have done, Madam Speaker, in an effort to address the declining visitor arrivals and the lack of presence in the cruise market, and with representatives in the cruise sector and with stakeholders there, we are currently, Madam Speaker, to arrest the mismanagement and the lack of financial structures, we're undertaking a financial audit of the St. Lucia Tourist Board with the Jazz Festival of particular concern. And Madam Speaker, I promise you that when we receive the full copy of this report, I will make this public, and I will make it the findings of this report for all to see in the House. Madam Speaker, we also went ahead with plans to remove the Jazz Festival from one of the activities that the St. Lucia Tourist Board, which really should be focusing on marketing our destination as a tourism place for people to visit. We have actually removed that function and placed it with the Festivals Commission. Madam Speaker, we have commenced work on the transitioning of the Tourism Authority to holistically manage its growth and maximize its economic impact. Madam Speaker, thus far we have actually ensured that legislation is being drafted so that this new body, which is currently being constructed, can come into being. Madam Speaker, we're looking at the organizational structure and so on, and we're also beginning at a very preliminary stage to see how we can advance the whole cause of job recruitment. Madam Speaker, we have also found that when we came that there was very little tourism investment, new investment coming to the country. I heard one of my friends on this side once argue that while they didn't have any new investment, that they found investors to take distressed properties on the island. But Madam Speaker, that's nothing new, and there is no growth in your room stock when this is the case. And so therefore, Madam Speaker, a priority of our government is to ensure that we bring new tourism investment to this country. And to that end, Madam Speaker, what we have done is that we have begun the process of the construction of a new tourism incentive legislation. So we're doing a full sweep so that we can make St. Lucia a more attractive jurisdiction for investors the world over. Madam Speaker, while we do this, we cannot take our eyes of what's happening in other Caribbean countries, in some of the sweeping changes and overhauls that they have been doing to their own tourism investment legislation so that they remain competitive and relevant as it relates to tourism investment into the country. Madam Speaker, there is a very big correlation between growth and investment into the country. If we don't have new rooms, Madam Speaker, then it impedes our ability to grow at the phenomenal rate that we would like to. Madam Speaker, we've also been busy finding new ways to bring people to St. Lucia, and we've been opening new gateways. And so I'm happy to report, Madam Speaker, that we have decided to renew our contract with United Airlines out of Chicago, starting in the second week of December. And we have also signed another deal with United Airlines to have a second flight out of New Jersey. So we will now have a Saturday and a Sunday flight, which will make us more competitive and make us more accessible for the honeymoon market. Madam Speaker, we're also exploring opportunities to digitalize our immigration cards and facilitation process at the airport. While, Madam Speaker, a new airport is very important, but facilitation has to be improved if we will be a destination that is worth our salt. Madam Speaker, we are also going to be developing a 4-year strategic plan for tourism so that all of our stakeholders, Madam Speaker, will have one document and sing from one hymn sheet, and there'll be one cohesive vision going forward rather than a scattered approach. Madam Speaker, this one is personal to me. For too long we have developed tourism and we have left St. Lucian people by and large behind. I think, Madam Speaker, the time has come now for us to redefine who is an investor and the opportunities, Madam Speaker, that exist for local or indigenous peoples, Madam Speaker, to invest and become investors in our tourism sector. Madam Speaker, with this purpose in mind, we have deliberately undertaken the process, Madam Speaker, to establish a tourism development agency, which, Madam Speaker, will advance strongly community tourism so that our villages, our communities, and so that our towns will have the opportunity, Madam Speaker, to become businesses and be a part of what is the world's fastest growing industry, and indeed St. Lucia's #1 economic driver. Madam Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you.